So the Epstein files are out, millions of pages, thousands of videos, an order from Congress. And what have we learned? Well, Democrats accused the Attorney General of a cover-up. The Attorney General calls a senior congressman a washed-up loser lawyer. Victims sit in the room watching their accusers' names blacked out while their own names, their photographs, their suffering are leaked to the public. Welcome to accountability, Western style. For years, the Western elites, the Western men, have stood on what they call the moral high ground. They lecture other countries on human rights, on fair courts, on the worth of every person. They send diplomats to lecture former colonies about the rule of law, as if that law were a custom-made suit only for a rich man. Now, let me be clear. This is not about one man. It is about what Julie K. Brown, the reporter who broke the story in the first place, said with painful honesty. Nearly every element of society allowed him to get away with them. Not one element, every element. Let's walk through the Museum of Western Hypocrisy. In 2007, federal prosecutors had 82 pages of documents to charge him. Victims as young as 14 years old. They had the evidence. What happened next was not a failure. It was a choice, a secret deal, negotiated in private, kept from the victim for nearly a year. When the government finally wrote to these victims, it told them the case was still under investigation. A federal judge caught this, and I quote, actively misleading them. Now, Alex Acosta, the prosecutor who signed the deal, sat for an interview with the Justice Department's internal investigators. His defense? He couldn't remember. Didn't recall the financial records, didn't recall the flight logs. Now, years later, his testimony to Congress was so full of, I don't remember. That word memory became his legal excuse. This is the system that lectures the world on fair and independent courts. But the courts were only the first domino. Let us talk about the gentleman, the European gentleman. I'm not just talking about the businesses and the finance circles who made up the bulk of the Epstein guest list, but in academia as well. Scholars who fill university offices. According to documents released this month and reported by Nature, Epstein kept a list of nearly 30 well-known scientists. He invested millions. At Harvard, he gave $6.5 million to start a research program. He kept an office there. A virus expert at Stanford asked Epstein to pay for a study on college students' sexual behavior to test, and I quote, our horny virus idea. A physics professor facing investigation into his own misconduct received an email from Epstein telling him to say no comment to the press. This is not just selling influence. This is intellectuals bound down. Men who traded fame and respect traded it for a check from a convicted sex offender. And the banks? Deutsche Bank moved millions of dollars for Epstein. They flagged him as high risk. They kept him anyway. Wire transfers, cash withdrawals, payments to people accused of helping him. New York's financial regulator called it inexcusable. The bank paid $150 million to settle the case. And let me translate that. $150 million is not punishment. It is simply the price they pay to make the problem go away. And now we arrive at the truly interesting part. The Epstein files have become a political punching bag. The Trump camp makes it about the Clintons. The Democrats make it about the Republicans. The Attorney General accuses the Committee of Drama, and the committee accuses the Attorney General of running a cover-up. Meanwhile, the law Congress passes clearly states that names cannot be blacked out just to avoid embarrassment, harm to reputation, or political discomfort. So, how did the Department of Justice manage to black out the powerful and expose the victims? So here's the uncomfortable truth the West does not want to face. The Epstein archive is not just one file on one criminal. It is a CT scan of the whole system, the courts, the banks, the politicians, even some academic institutions. Not evil in some movie sense, silent partners in real world sense. Silent through doing nothing, through convenient forgetfulness, through the quiet belief that some men are too powerful to ever be brought down. And yet these same institutions continue to grade the rest of the world on human rights, continue to issue report cards on judicial reform, continue to act as if they're the world's moral judge. The lease on that high ground has run out. It ran out in Florida courthouse in 2008. It ran out on a private Caribbean island with a Harvard professor as a guest. It ran out this month on the live television when a victim had to watch her abuser's name being blacked out while her own name staying in plain sight. The Western elites wanted to be judged by their good intentions. Unfortunately for them, the Epstein files contain only the facts.